Welcome to the Permission Slip podcast, where I, empowerment coach, mindset expert, and holistic nutritionist Carmen share with you the tools, conversations, and resources you need to write your own permission slip, take massive action, and become obsessed with your own life. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the Permission Slip podcast. Can you believe that the year is just about halfway over? Oh my gosh, I feel like it just started, and there have been so many amazing things that have happened this year in my life, in the life of my family, my friends, my clients, my students in Flow Academy, the world, for all of us, right? If we choose to look at it that way. So in this episode, I want to share with you my process that I just went through. I did it a little bit early before the official exact end of the first 6 months of 2023. So I could take myself through the process so I could share how to do it in your life. So this is going to be all about how to do a mid-year review for you in your life. So let's dive right in and let's get started. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to think about all of the proud moments. I want you to think about all of the memories that you made. I want you to just really enjoy going down memory lane and celebrating, maybe even placing your hands on your heart and just remembering how you felt during certain times. As I go through the year, at the beginning of the year, it's my birthday in January, on January 4th, and Joel and I visited Laguna Beach, California to scope out and make sure where we wanted to stay at for the retreat that we held earlier this year in April. And it was such a beautiful time. Such a beautiful time being there together, checking things out, connecting with one of my hotel partners, SCP Hotel, which if you haven't visited any of their properties, I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the show notes. So they are really, really expanding, so SCP stands for Soul Community Planet. And I just love what they stand for. I love their vision. And they are really growing. So starting out smaller and growing now to multiple locations, multiple states, from Hawaii, California, Oregon, Colorado, Costa Rica now, so many places and so many beautiful locations that are all like-minded and aligned with what I envision for my life and how I want to show up too. So be sure to check them out. We're going to be hosting the Permission Slip Retreat in September in the majestic mountains of Redmond, Oregon, and SCP is actually going to be hosting us at that retreat, which if you haven't been to a retreat before, they're exclusive and all inclusive. So all you have to do is get there, and we take care of all the planning, all the excursions. We take care of all the food. We take care of everything for you. And at this retreat, you're going to get your own solo room with beautiful amenities, like the things they have in their room, from like the music that's calming to the essential oils that are diffusing when you walk in. I mean, it's just amazing. Their rooftop is beautiful. They use farm to table ingredients at their restaurants, and I can't wait for you to experience it. So anyway, I've digressed, but the retreat, if you're interested in attending, we are 50% sold out. And again, it is exclusive. So it's really only going to be about 16 women. So there's 8 more spots. And if you're interested, please sign up. If you're like, is this for me? Shoot me a DM. We can hop on a call and chat about it, because I want to make sure you're there if you feel a call in your heart. So going back to the proud moments, like in the moments and the memories. So Laguna Beach was just so, so beautiful. My little sister got married this year. Oh my gosh, that was just so amazing. Gosh, so many memories. Joel and I have had the most intimate, deep, meaningful conversations this year that have just expanded our relationship in a way I didn't even know that was possible. I've been able to expand my relationship with God in a deeper, more intimate way. Being able to listen to my intuition and trust myself so much more has just been so beautiful. You know, something that I heard As I just looked up, by the way, there's these birds, and Joel and I call them Miami ducks, and they're white. They're kind of like a cross between a duck that I would have seen like in Oregon, or a goose, and like a stork. They're skinny with like these longer orange curved beaks, but we call them Miami ducks. And I always ask for my sign to be Miami ducks. So I just looked up, and as I'm sharing these proud moments with you, one flew by, and it was just one. And it's always just one when I ask for a sign, but most of the time I'll see them in groups. So anyway, again, I've digressed, but those signs and synchronicities are always available to us if we're open and available to receive. Um, and they're just little miracles, little shifts in our perception, right? So, okay, let's just get back on track here. So keep track of those proud moments. Let them warm your heart, write them down. Something big that we did this year as far as business-wise with my company was we did a whole hotel buyout. And I remember when I was planning my first permission slip, it wasn't even a retreat. It was a workshop. It was going to be like 3 or 4 hours. And I was going to rent a location in the city that I lived in. And I remember the cost was going to be like around $1,500. And I remember being too fearful, and I fell back on comfort, right? And so I partnered with a local yoga studio, and I held my first in-person workshop at the local yoga studio. It didn't cost anything because it was a collaboration. It was beautiful. It was a way to get started. And so while I knew I was ready to get started, I just couldn't get over that fear, that scarcity mindset, that lack mindset yet. Knowing that abundance can come to me when I give, I'm going to receive 10 times over. So going from that a number of years ago to moving into buying out a whole entire boutique hotel in beautiful Laguna Beach, California, like that was a huge, huge thing for our company. It made such an impact on the lives of the women that attended, and we were able to really grow and foster our community of coaches that have graduated from Flow Academy, because so many of them were there. So many proud moments and things that I want to remember. One of the biggest things that came to me this year was this idea of upper limits. So I want you to think about, what are your upper limits? And this is something I added in after I actually bought the book, A Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, for my friend Candace. And she asked me on a walk recently, she said, Carmen, what is your current upper limit? So I said, oh, that's such a good question, because it's something I've been sitting with for the last couple of months and really working with myself on. But an upper limit I discovered last year that I was really able to push past. And if you don't know what an upper limit is, let me just describe this for you. So basically, an upper limit is where we're not fully operating in our zone of genius. So when we're operating in our zone of genius, that's when really things flow. They come. It's not that they're easy, but it happens with ease. Even in the face of challenge, you know that you are being called and you're moving in the right direction. You're not questioning your intuition or your choices, and you're just moving forward. But what happens often is that we have these self-imposed glass ceilings that we're operating under. And usually it's held in place by a single problem or a barrier that we don't know that we have. But once we can uncover this upper limit and figure out how to solve it, we're free as individuals to just move beyond ordinary success to new and extraordinary level of abundance and love and creativity. So these upper limits are really built into our subconscious. And so when Candace asked me that, I thought about, last year I really uncovered the upper limit of, if I do too much, then I'm going to get sick. So I've been diagnosed with MS since I was 25. I'm now 42. And I can tell you that I am in the best health, the best shape, the best mental shape, emotional, physical shape, spiritual that I have ever been. And I wouldn't even say I'm surviving that. I'm thriving. But a couple years ago, my hormones were a little bit out of whack and I was really fatigued in the afternoon and the evening. And it was the first time I really thought about, oh my gosh, what if this is my MS? And I didn't realize, but my subconscious was playing a dirty little trick on me. So my ego self was trying to keep me small and keep me held back for my biggest calling. And I wouldn't push myself as much as I was capable of. Now, I'm not advocating for hustle and push and grind and do all of that. While I do think there's seasons you're going to be doing more and you're going to be doing less, what I'm saying is I just wasn't allowing myself to work to the capability I was fully capable of. So when I sat and asked myself, am I working at the level I know that I'm capable of? The answer was really no. And when I dug into that, it was because if I did too much, I was worried I was going to get sick. And I really had to break that and ask myself, like, is this true? No, this is not true. How do I know this is not true? Because I proved it to myself. There was a time last year where I was like, okay, I'm going to prove it to myself. I'm going to host this retreat in Tulum and I'm going to immediately go back to back to speak at another event. I'm going to go home for a day. I'm going to go support a friend at another event, traveling. I'm going to launch Flow Academy at the same time. Like I was doing all these things, but the one caveat was I was so much better at taking care of myself. I was so much better about having boundaries. One of the women at the event that I went to support a friend that was hosting an event, I was talking to one of the other women that were attending and she goes, oh, don't you love this hotel? I said, oh, I'm not staying at the hotel, the host hotel. And she goes, you're not? And I said, no, I recognize that, I've had so many things going on that I needed space and capacity to be on my own. And while I want to be here to support the amazing work that our friend is doing here at this event, I know that I need to be able to step away. And if I was staying at the host hotel, I wouldn't be able to do that. She goes, whoa, that's really smart. And so it takes some thinking and planning in advance, right? So that was the upper limit I broke through last year. And then this year, what I really heard God telling me, and he's been telling me for the last 2 years, is be bold, use your voice, make a bigger impact. And at first I started to use my logical brain and figure out what that was. I went through a lot of different things. And this year it's really stepping up and owning my own significance. Because what the upper limit was that I was facing now this year, and I've just recently uncovered, was the belief that it's possible for others and I can show them and I can help them get there, but it's not fully possible for me. And so I was downplaying my own significance. And oftentimes I was attending events or going to workshops or doing things. And it wasn't like I was learning something new. It was all things that I was sharing, I was talking about, I was already integrating and implementing. I wasn't necessarily needing to learn anything new, but I was getting this reassurance and this validation that I was on the right track. You only need so much reassurance and validation before you have to fully step into your own significance and boldness and step out confidently and be the one to show the world how great life truly is and do it authentically. And so I told Candace when she asked what my upper limit was that I'm really working with this year, it's stepping into my full significance, not downplaying my significance. And so I want you to think about that in your life. Where are you upper limiting yourself? And if you're like, Carmen, I'm still not fully sure about this upper limit. So some signs that Gay Hendricks talks about in his book are these things. So if you find yourself worrying, if you find yourself blaming or criticizing, if you find that you're getting sick or hurt often, if you're finding that you're proving your point or arguing your point, if you find that you're hiding significant feelings, maybe not keeping agreements, or not speaking your truth to really for some of the important relationships that you have in your life, or this last one, which you could say is the one that I was finding this year that I was having an upper limit problem with, is deflecting. So I was deflecting my own significance and God-given gifts. And now that I've really uncovered that, it's like who really stepping into that idea. If you can see it in other people, it's because it's in you. So get out there, go and do it. Excuse me. So anyway, here we go. Celebrate your proud moments. Remember those fond memories that you have. And think about what your upper limit is. Make a note of it. And if you don't know yet, just check in with yourself often when you're doing your journaling or your daily rituals to see if there's something that you uncover. And I just want you to know that, like, all in all, it's just about like this journey of life and being a witness. We never want to be a judge of our life. And so I want you to step back when you're really thinking about these upper limits and doing this review. And I want you to always remember there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with life. And it just is. And we're here to experience this magical journey. And you can never make the wrong choice. And so keep experiencing it, keep learning and keep growing and keep sharing and keep loving. And that's how you build the most amazing, amazing life. Okay, so let's go back. Step number 3, after we did our proud moments and our upper limit, is going to be, I want you to think about the times when you've been successful in the past. And I want you to think about when you've reached goals and dreams in the past, when you've actually manifested something in your life. And I want you to make a list of the 5 things that really helped you get there. And so when I sat down and I thought about this, the 5 things that really helped me be successful in reaching my goals and dreams are these things. The first one is I'm very dedicated and planful. So I have a strategy, and not only a strategy as far as like, let's say I'm talking about business here, because that's primarily what I'm speaking to today in this podcast, but you can apply this to any personal or life goals that you have as well. But I'm very planful and I have a strategy, and then I'm dedicated to doing it. And I'm dedicated to walking it out and seeing it to the end through planning and organization. The second thing is I take radical care of myself. So I set boundaries like no other. I nourish myself. I have daily rituals that really make me feel in flow and alignment and in high vibe, because I know when I'm high vibrational, I'm putting that off, and the right people, places, opportunities, and abundance is going to come my way. The third thing is I build in some sort of accountability. So I always am part of a mastermind, or I have a coach, or I have an accountability group that I am in and I am staying committed to. Now, if you don't have an accountability, you don't have a coach, something like that, hey, you could always check out Flow Academy. Join the permission slip community. It's free. There's a link in the show notes. That's the community that I host free challenges and workshops and learning and opportunity to connect each and every month. There's no charge for it. Next month, starting in July, I will have one one-on-one coaching spot available. I'm only taking 2 people per year this year because of my goals. You'll hear a little bit more about that in this podcast. But if that's something that you're interested in, I'm going to be taking some applications to see who is going to be that person that's most aligned to fill that one spot. But get some sort of accountability, even if it is, hey, friend or business friend or fellow entrepreneur, on Fridays, let's do a 10-minute call. I'm going to talk for 5 minutes. You're going to talk for 5 minutes, because you don't want to commit a shit ton of time, right? And I'm going to tell you the things that I did and the things that I'm committing to next week, and talk about maybe your upper limit problems, talk about where it came in, talk about how you uncovered it, and have them share, and then do the same. Have accountability. So that's my third thing. The fourth thing is starting before I'm ready. I'm always starting before I'm ready. Even if it isn't like the big vision dream yet, I'm taking action and starting to get there with the next best steps, because I know little by little, a little becomes a lot, and a series of good days leads to a great life. And so if I can just take that step even before I know that I'm ready or feel ready and into uncertainty, I'm going to do good. And then the last thing is I am just enthusiastic and positive, and that's just who I am. You know, sometimes people put me down and they'll say things like, why don't you just share more authentically online? Why don't you share more of the times of when you're having a hard time? And, you know, I thought about this, and for a while I was really pushing myself to think of things where I was challenged and how I could share challenges. And then I really thought about it the other day, and I was like, you know what? I'm downplaying the joy and the bliss and the happiness that I have with my life when I'm doing that. Because most of the time, yeah, I'm not feeling enthusiastic and high vibe 100% of the time. That's not what I'm saying. But most of the time, the moments that I have that are low are so short-lived because of the practices and the rituals and the tools that I have available to me in my tool bag that I actually utilize, that I can come back so much faster. And so my downtimes are not like downtimes. And so that's why I'm so enthusiastic and positive most of the time. And that's what I'm sharing from an authentic place. It's not inauthentic. It's not just fake slapping a smile on. This is how I am. So those are my 5 things. So that's step 3. I want you to think about your 5 things. And now as we go through this and as you go through the rest of the year, those 5 things, you can use those as a guide mark of like, okay, am I doing my 5 things consistently each and every week that have helped me be successful in the past? Because if you do that, you're probably going to be on track to be pretty successful for the future. So the next thing I want you to use as a guide marker is, what season of life are you in? Because what happens often is that we keep going through life and we keep adding things on, adding things on, adding things on without reassessing where we're at right now and what we need to let go of. So I like to say that there are a few seasons of life and you can pinpoint where you're at right now. The first one is things are going great, but I know there's more. So things are going great and I know there's more and I feel a calling, but I'm not quite taking action on it, but I want to. And so things are positive. That could be where you're at. The next one is I'm just going through the motions. I'm waking up every single day. I'm getting on the treadmill of life. I don't really feel aliveness or fulfillment in my life, and I'm just going through the motions. The next one is I am fully in an evolution season, or if you want to call it a pivot season. I am making the change. I am switching things up, whether that be with your life, your relationships, your business, whatever it is, you're going through some sort of evolution. And then the last one, and the one that I was in for a lot of my life that I think is actually the worst place to be in, is things are just good. Things are good and you're comfortable. And you're not really thinking like, oh, there's more, and getting excited about something. You're not actively making a change. You're not just necessarily going through the motions, but things are just good. And you keep choosing good. You keep choosing good because you're afraid of great. What if you fail? What will you look like? What will people say? You're afraid of the uncertainty. So you keep choosing good over and over and over. And even though you're surrounded by people, you feel isolated. You feel unfulfilled. I felt like this for years in my corporate job. So those are the seasons of life. So I want you to think about the season of life that you're in. And then I want you to think about where you want to go for this next 6 months of the year. And so these are the things that you're going to use as your barometer as we walk through this. So the next thing that I did was I looked at, as far as my business goes, I looked at my projected goals versus my actual goals. And again, this is not about good or bad, black or white, right or wrong. This is just information. You want to make sure that you're not taking this information and making it mean something about you. It's just information to inform you on how you can make choices the same or different, how you can move forward or maybe not, how you can change, how you can pivot, how you can grow, what you need to do. It's just information. Where we get fucked up is when we start making the information mean something about us as a person, and it really doesn't. It's just information. So let me share with you my information, and I'm not making it mean anything about me because I know that I am being called to make an impact in this world, and I'm doing that. And how I show up every day is a reflection of that, and I can feel good about that in my heart and in my spirit. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not trying to grow or learn or up level or elevate my life, my business, my relationships, but I'm doing that. But I love my life. I love right now. And I'm excited for what tomorrow is going to bring, but I'm also content and deeply appreciating what I have today. And contentment doesn't mean that I'm not hoping or believing for more. It just means I'm not in the energy of really pushing and controlling. I'm in the energy of staying open and attracting and receiving. So I had a few goals for Flow Academy enrollments for my retreat, for booking paid speaking engagements, for one-on-one coaching. And then, of course, I had some other goals too, like growing my email list. And this is what I would call like my key performance indicators for my business, KPIs. You've probably heard that before. So growing my email list, having consistent open rates with those emails, and growing my engagement on my posts and then within our permission slip community both. So just to give you an example of what I mean by projected versus actual. So when I sat with our CFO, we projected actually 20 enrollments in Flow Academy, and we had 5 enrollments. And so right there, look at that. I missed that mark by a considerable amount, right? Not only the number of lives that I was impacting, but the financial revenue that could have come into our business that we could have then multiplied to make a bigger impact. And so I sat down and I thought, what did I learn from this? So I learned that what I should be focusing on is more visibility outside of when I'm launching or when Flow Academy is open for enrollment, so that we can have more audience growth, so we could attract more people, more of the right people, not just anyone, because we are growing a coaching community here, and it is a community that stays engaged after you graduate. There's supportive calls and collaboration opportunities and opportunities to get coaching under me, like take clients, and it's just so beautiful. So the learning was we need to be doing more as far as visibility and audience growth prior to the launch period. So as far as the retreat goes, we had a goal of having 12 women attend, and we had 8 women attend. And the learning from that was, wow, those 8 women in that Laguna Beach retreat, it was just so magical. I couldn't have asked for anything more. It was so divinely guided. But what I did come away with was looking at more sponsorships. So within our community, within Flow Academy and the permission slip community, and my personal brand, is there's many opportunities to highlight products and services. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking like, yes, I want to get my product or service into the hands of some of the amazing women within your community, within your audience, please shoot me a DM or shoot me an email. My contact information is in the show notes. But to have sponsorships at a level that is impactful for not only us with the sponsorship for the retreat, but also for, I'm hoping, the female-owned businesses that want to sponsor, because we can mention things on the podcast here. We can do it in our newsletter. We can do it in person at our retreats. I can do it in person at my speaking engagements. There's so many different ways that we can do that. And so that was the learning from that definitely I want to collaborate with more brands and have more sponsorship opportunities available for the retreats, but not only the retreats, just across our brand in general. And then the next thing was paid speaking engagements. And so the goal that we set out was 1 per quarter, and we met that 100%. So the learning from there, do you see how I'm taking a learning even though we met the goal? I'm taking a learning that actually I could do more than that. And I'm being called to do more than that. That's one of the things of stepping into my significance. Because I am a gifted speaker, I can engage audiences like nobody's business, and people get so much from all of my workshops and my talks and my keynotes that I give. So yeah, I can do more, and God's asking me to do that. And then the last thing was the one-on-one coaching, just making sure that I have my 2 spots filled throughout the year. And I'm not taking any more than that because I'm focusing my attention more on my creative efforts and into Flow Academy and really building that coaching community. So let's see. Next step is what has transpired or changed over the last 6 months since we set these goals, and what do we need to look at? So that's what I want you to ask yourself. And so what happened for us was, and by the way, I did have some personal goals as well. I'm just going to run you through some of those, but create a deeper, more intimate relationship with God and my own intuition and inner knowing, being able to listen to that first versus going externally. That's really important to me and a personal goal that I have. Also tapping more into my feminine and really embracing and supporting Joel's masculine energy in our relationship. And yeah, that's going to be a whole nother podcast. Him and I will probably do that together. But that is just, going really well. And then God's really been telling me, how much fun can you have this year, Carmen? And so really focusing on having fun, not being so serious. And what I found is really when you show up in that energy of joy and fun, like attracts like, and so you're going to attract that into your life. And when you're having fun, even in the work that you do, the right people are attracted to you even faster, like magnets. So those are some of my personal things that I was looking at where I was doing well and what I learned and how I need to shift or grow. But going back to business wise, thinking about what's transpired is this idea that's been on my heart for a few years of writing a book. And so when I heard God say last year, Carmen, be bold, use your voice, make a bigger impact. And then I thought it was a podcast tour. And then I thought this different group coaching program and then Flow Academy. And now it's really come after attending that Hay House event a couple months ago. Like the book is meant to be there and I have a full-fledged idea and I'm going for it and I'm writing every single day. And I've made the decision to focus 60% of my work efforts every single week on that book. So whether that be doing a speaking application for a keynote based on the topic that I'm writing about, to writing my proposal, to writing the actual manuscript, whatever it is, 60 or doing some research, 60% of it is going to be on that. If I'm writing any copy or social media copy or emails, it's going to be around that topic because I want to stay in the work of the book. And then Joel and I have dreamed a new dream for us together that's really brought us even closer. And it's something that we just have as an idea now, and we're starting to take action on it this summer and see where it goes. But that could really change things for us as well. So more to come on that. So think about what's happened and think about if you need to adjust. So when I thought about those business goals that I went over, what do I need to adjust? So as far as Flow Academy goes, we're keeping with the same 20. So fall enrollment for Flow Academy, which is the holistic life and leadership certifications for leaders, coaches, and entrepreneurs. That is going to kick off again in October. Enrollment will start in September if you're interested in that, or getting on the wait list for more information and get access to the early bird discounts and the extra bonuses that I always give away. Click the link in the show notes, but we're keeping that number at 20. Just because we didn't hit it this time doesn't mean that we can't hit it next time. And just focusing on the learning, making the changes and growing and shifting and adapting. For the retreat, there is more space and more capacity in Redmond in the mountains. So we're going to look at having 16 to 20 women come for that. Speaking, that was something that I learned. Even though I hit the goal, I learned that I could do more. Over the past 2 weeks, I've responded to like 20 call for speakers. I updated with my speaking agency. I updated a bunch of information with them. So I'm excited to book 3 speaking jobs per quarter starting in July. So I'm just so excited about that. I have 3 booked already. So, hey, only 6 more to go to really meet that goal. And it's totally doable. And the thing I need to be careful there is not booking too much. That's why I was really contemplative of, will I be able to reach that 60%, focusing on my book for that calling that God has really put on my heart. And I know with the 9, I'll definitely be able to do that still. And so by the end of the 6 months, I'm going to have my book proposal all done, my query sheet, and my first manuscript. So the first draft all completed. Pretty excited about that. And then I'm going to maintain the 2 one-on-one coaching clients and not exceed that. So that's what I have projected for the next 6 months. And of course, all these numbers and figures and the things that I'm doing, they do map over into actual physical numbers. And you do want to know your numbers. And the system that I use is called Busy Bee Numbers. And it's actually like a dashboard. So when I worked my corporate job, one of the things I love working for JP Morgan was they had the best KPIs and dashboards and measurements that I've ever seen. And I've always wanted something like that for my business. And now I have that. So the CFO that I work with, Louise Hipperson, she actually started these KPIs in this dashboard business for entrepreneurs. And I love it. There's a link in the show notes if you want to check it out. She also hosts learning calls so you can learn more each and every month. about your numbers and how to use them. But just like looking at my numbers, one of the things that I was really proud of so far this year is that we have increased our revenue compared to last year, 24% year over year. Now, one of the things that just looking at it, if you were just looking at the numbers and not knowing and understanding how they work, now my expenses are up at the beginning of this year as compared to last year, year over year. But things that I know will happen is I changed my payroll, how we're doing payroll this year. So that's going to be an added expense that we didn't have at all last year. And in addition to that, I front loaded some costs for Flow Academy that we'll have only at the beginning of this year, but not at the end of the year. And so actually expenses will be down a lot more at the end of the year. So just knowing and understanding your numbers is so important. And I highly, highly recommend getting help with that. I still get help with mine. I have someone do my bookkeeping and my reconciliation every single month so I can stay on top of it, so I can look at it. I'm still looking at it. I'm still reviewing it. And then that information from QuickBooks actually maps over to my dashboard in the busy numbers. And so I can actually see where I'm at year over year. I can do the comparisons. I can understand where I'm at. I can see the overall health of my company based on some financial KPIs. And it is just the most amazing thing. So I highly encourage you to just check it out and see what you think. I think there is a free trial for it. So click the link in the show notes for that. And then the last thing that I did was, remember how we talked about what are those 5 things that you do that really bring you success, that you've seen success year over year or time after time that you've reached goals or met a dream or manifested something. And then we also talked about the season of life that you're in and where you want to go. Well, I need you to really think about what is a stop doing list. What do you need to let go of and stop doing? And what do you need to start doing? And then this list, I also want you to do a weekly review on, just like checking in on your upper limits. Did you discover any new upper limits? How are you working to break through your upper limits, break through that self-imposed glass ceiling? And then this is, did I stop the things I said I was going to stop? And did I start the things I said I was going to start? So the things that I need to stop doing is, oh gosh, it's been almost a year now. I think it's been like 8 months since my operations person left, and I haven't found anyone new. So a lot of the administrative tasks that I was having them do have come back on my plate. I also lost another employee that was totally taking care of all of my social media. And so a lot of these administrative tasks have came back on my plate. I still do have a team of 3, and I still am actively looking for an operations person. If anybody out there understands the big picture, knows how it all works, and is excited about making an impact in the lives of women to show them that there is a different way to be, a different way to live, and you can design and live a life of your own design so you can be the one to show the world how truly great life is. If that sounds like you, please shoot me a DM, send me an email. I would love to talk to you. I am actively hiring for that. But until then, something I need to stop doing is stop doing admin tasks every day. And that's something that I've gotten to a little bit of a habit of versus doing them once a week or doing them twice a week, or really setting them out and planning my day based on my energy, not necessarily my time. So what I'm looking at is once a week finance, once a week check in with the team, once a month social media approval and review, once a month text message and email writing. I write my newsletter. I love writing my newsletter. It's so fun. If you ever wonder if you get my newsletter, yes, I do write that for each and every week. So like once a month doing those things. And so the rest of the time I can go back to that new goal of 60% of my time is working on that creativity and that new project of my book, which I have developed a keynote around already too. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing goes along with my upper limit on what I'm going to stop doing. So I'm going to stop looking at anything other than what I'm doing. And that sounds really weird, but oftentimes we can get distracted by looking at what other people are doing and it clouds our brain. Oh, they're doing that. Maybe I should try that. Maybe I should try this. I'm not going to add anything new. I'm going to keep going and I'm going to double down on the things that I'm doing and how I'm making an impact. And I'm just going for it. And I am stepping out in my full confidence and belief and stepping out with my God-given gifts and my significance. And I don't have to look at what anybody else is doing. Now, with that being said, I do have a list of people that I really want to connect with. I really want to get to know on social media, and I want to engage with them often and engage with their content. And I'm interested in learning about them as a person and as a leader. And so I do have that list of people that I'm engaging with and other people that are within our coaching community and in our community that I'm engaging with. But other than that, it's like I gave myself this challenge. Let me find my journal. What did I write? It was even just this morning. Carmen, I dare you to dedicate the next 6 months exclusively to your goals. No announcements, just fall back and do the magic, do the work. So I dare you to dedicate the next 6 months to your goals. No announcements, no looking back. Just step into it and do the work. How does that feel? Yeah. So what do you need to stop doing? And then the last thing is, what do you need to start doing? So for me, it was 60% of the time on the book, in the writing, in the creativity, in the speaking about the topic that my book is about, staying in that work. And then the next thing that I need to start doing is accountability. So I have had 2 interviews with book coaches and agents, and I have a couple more upcoming before I make a decision and actually set some accountability for myself. Because remember, going back to my 5 things, it's being dedicated and planful, taking care of myself, having accountability, starting before I'm ready, and being enthusiastic. So the accountability piece is something that I know that I need to build in because this book writing is new, and I know that I need to have that. So just to recap on how to check in on your next 6 months and where you're at, what you accomplished, and how you want to change or continue with what you're doing. So check in on your proud moments and those magical memories, right? Write out the 5 things that make you consistent. Figure out the season of life that you're in, or where you want to be with that season of life. Figure out your upper limit problem. And if you don't know it, start working with it, start figuring it out. Think about your projected versus actual, what your goals were projected and what they were actually. Do not make it mean anything about you. It's just information, and write down a learning lesson from each and everything, whether you didn't hit it, whether you met it, or whether you exceeded it. What did you learn? You can always be learning something. And then what's transpired since then? Do you need to make any changes or adjustments? And then what do you want to project for the next 6 months? Are you going to make any changes or adjustments? And then what do you need to stop doing? And what do you want to start doing? And that right there is going to get you to a level of success and love and abundance and attracting what you want to attract into your life versus like trying to just grasp it all the time. Like you're just going to be open to receive it. And so I want to close with this. It's something that I wrote February 25th of this year. I just wrote thoughts. So here we go. Finishing breeds supernatural confidence. When I push myself to finish, even when I don't feel like it, it proves to my subconscious that my capacity is great. I no longer I no longer diminish what I'm capable of because of the old story that I'm telling myself. I declare today that I release this story and I ask God to remove it and transmute it and fill its place with courage, inspiration, energy, and enthusiasm I need to fully step into this next level calling He has prepared for me and that I'm fully believing for. Keep the momentum going. Momentum in moments leads to movements. Take a deep breath in. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Let it out with a sigh. I'm going to read it one more time. and really allow it to sink in this time. Put your hand on your heart. Finishing breeds supernatural confidence. When I push myself to finish, even when I don't feel like it, it proves to my subconscious that my capacity is great. I no longer diminish what I'm capable of because of an old shitty story. I declare today that I release this old story and I ask God to remove it and transmute it and fill its place with courage, inspiration, energy, and enthusiasm I need to fully step into the next level calling He has prepared for me and that I am fully believing for. Keep the momentum going because momentum in moments leads to movements. Take a deep breath in. Hold it and release. Okay, I can't wait to hear from you. If you have any questions about the retreat in September, about Flow Academy, about busy numbers that I use for my finances, click the link in the show notes, shoot me a DM, and let me know your biggest takeaway from this. So post on your stories so I can repost you. So together we can make a big impact in the world because you never know who you are inspiring. And so I will see you or talk to you next week.